weekend of playing Sega 93 and 94 for
Jeremy Roenick was unstoppable.
So I played the Blues. And you can go back and look. The 94 roster was pretty stacked.
Oates, Shanahan,
Hall, McInnes. Unfortunately,
you had no goalie.
Well, kind of. Unfortunately, I played the Blackhawks, which included, Chelios, Roenick, Dirty Dirt Graham on that team. Steve Larmer, one of the best 30 goal scorers year after year after year after year that you don't really know about. Anyway, I lost 3-2 just to my buddy Steckman. Shout out to him if he's out there listening. But also, I'm getting antsy because I'm ready for hockey season. I don't know about you, but I'm sitting around, I'm reading football stories, and I'm going, when is hockey going to kick back in? Is it just me?
No, it's me as well. I think I'm checking Yahoo Sports and the hockey news every day to see if the Wings are going to actually make a trade. I'm tired of seeing all the, Mason McTavish is on the radar.
Oh yeah. That's
Rickard Rakell. Absolutely. And, it's funny because I don't know about you. I play NHL 2026 with my boys still, and they just basically
and you get smoked,
get dusted. And I'm like, man, if this controller only had 2 buttons and a stick, I would kill you guys.
Exactly. That's the hardest part for me. It has too many buttons and too many things on it.
But what we do is we draft. We draft the old players, and they finally put Bobby Orr in the game, which was awesome.
Oh, nice.
Still waiting on Mike Bossy. So EA Sports, if you're listening, shame on you. Get Mike Bossy on. Hey, they moved the camera on us too, by the way. So wave to the folks at home looking at YouTube.
Love it.
Yep. And this is our it's our 10th episode.
We got a dime.
We have a dime. But it's interesting, as we were talking the other night, spoiler alert for everybody at home, Drew and I do talk away from the show. And it feels like you're at the point where the draft and free agency and all the youth hockey camps have all kind of come to an end. We're about to get back into school. Evaluations for club, tryouts for high school are starting. It's like we're right at we're coming out of the trough, and we're right at the top of the hill here, getting ready for the season. I can't be more excited for that.
Which is a great segue into our first guest. And our first guest is Neil Hoover. And Neil is part of the Kentucky Amateur Hockey Association, home of the Louisville Ice Cardinals, because there's no S in Louisville, right?
Louisville. Great town, Louisville.
So Grant, our esteemed producer who does such a great job queuing people up, let's get Neil on and let's talk about Kentucky hockey. Neil, it's Drew, and you're on with Drew and Jared, Too Many Men on the Mic. How are you today?
Doing well, Drew and Jared. How about yourself?
Doing great.
Neil, it's great to hear your voice. I know we've had a lot of back and forth with emails here, and can't thank you enough for joining us for this segment. Excited to learn a little bit about how hockey has grown and flourished in Louisville, which is, obviously not a traditional hockey market, but we're excited to have a chance to learn a little bit about your organization, your culture, and how you guys probably overcome some of the challenges that we in St. Louis and some of the other more what I call the NHL cities probably take for granted.
Yeah, thanks for asking about that. We're just as an aside, I give you guys a tip of the cap there for your attempts at the pronunciation of Louisville. Being a transplant myself, it took me a little while to get that figured out. But, Louisville, Louisville, you just kind of have to swallow the whole word. Louisville.
Right. That's a great way to say it. Swallow the whole word.
Swallow the whole word. So as far as our local association goes, the name of our association is KIHA, which is the Kentucky Amateur Ice Hockey Association. And we're pretty new as far as an organization goes. We're right around 14 years old. We have gone through a couple iterations of staffing as far as our board of directors goes. And we've seen the participation as far as our members go and the skaters in the program grow quite a bit. over the years since I've been involved. I've been involved roughly 8, 9 years or so. And
well, thanks for all you do there.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's been it's a labor of love, and it's a lot of fun to see things expand and get better. And we got a lot of good people on board. They're all really excited about it.
Well, that's awesome. Neil, how many teams would you say are in your organization between, let's say, 6U, when a player might exit, learn to play, all the way to the end to 18U? How many teams are in your organization?
Well, that's a good question. How typically, we kind of, as far as our association as a whole goes, we have roughly 300 plus members.
Mm-hmm.
This coming season actually marks the second season that we've been able to expand our introductory programs. And we used to just operate out of an 8 and under program as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And last year we were able to split that up into a 6U program and a dedicated 8U program separately. So we can develop the kids at a better rate and a better age appropriate practices, so they can kind of learn and grow together at the correct rate pace. So those together, I think 6U and 8U combined, and hopefully this year should be bigger numbers than last year, but I would say we're probably somewhere around the neighborhood of about 30 to 40 per age group, 6 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's another thing we've kind of had some good growth with over the few years is we're actually fielding about 2 travel teams per age group from 10U, 12U, 14U. We have 2 good travel teams there per age group of those. And then 16U, we have 1. And then 18U, it kind of comes and goes if we have an 18U team or not, depending on attrition of the year.
Right, yeah. Right. And you've got both girls and boys?
Those are all co-ed.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife, as a matter of fact, runs our girls program out of Iceland, and she it's growing. It's been a kind of a struggle because our travel programs, the girls who are involved with those teams, of course, are pretty dedicated to those teams, and try to be able to get them to participate in dedicated girls teams, kind of takes away from that.
Right.
But that being said, our girls program is a pretty wide range of age and talent both. It ranges from, like, say, the 10U age group. It includes all the way up to, say, 14 to 16U. So it's kind of a conglomeration, and we finally play jamborees and things like that over the course of the year. So it's growing, and we're trying to separate that up into separate age groups specifically across the board. But right now it's kind of a conglomeration of multiple age groups.
Hey, Neil, it's Jared. First off, I got to echo what Drew said. Coming from a non-traditional market, and it sounds like, building this over less than a decade to already have a organization that can ice, 300 total members and, multiple travel teams at each age group, I think is really excellent. And so the question I have that's kind of tied to that success is, I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there wasn't, and there probably still isn't, a lot of homegrown, what I would call legacy hockey population. And I say this because you probably don't have a lot of parents who played hockey or who have coached hockey and are kind of learning on the fly. So talk a little bit about that. How have you, as an organization, being bootstrapped on talent or bootstrapped on experience, not talent, how have you developed coaches? How have you maybe educated parents and really gotten enthusiasm to grow to over 300, players thus far?
That's a really good question, Jared. It's definitely a struggle.
Gave myself a bell for that.
There you go. So I'll try to answer that in 2 parts, if you don't mind. The first part being, believe it or not, we actually have a pretty good, strong contingent of adult hockey programs here in town. There's hundreds of guys involved in the adult leagues here. And what that means in short order is that with UPS being a major player in town, TV and guys like that, we get a lot of transients. So there are a lot of transplants in town, guys who grew up playing hockey from up north or what have you, who play in the men's league. And of course, as they're growing up here and growing families, they're looking for places to get their kids involved as well, just because they kind of bring that hockey tradition with them. So which is a great thing for us, of course. So that in a way, that kind of takes care of itself as far as that influx of kids goes. So it goes hand in hand sometimes to where you have some of those parents who come in from out of town and they're exposed to hockey, or they end up being a lot of guys who step up and take the coaching roles on. So that really helps us out a lot. And so that's a pretty strong contingent of our enrollment as far as our players goes in the youth program. But on the other side, we need to try to get something going from the grassroots level, of course, and try to get some more awareness of the hockey programs in town, just from the people who live here. So that being said, that's been a kind of a fun endeavor. We of course participate in USA Hockey Try Hockey for free days, and we try to publicize that over the airwaves and radio waves and online and things like that. But one of the biggest things we're kind of excited about, we're implementing new to this year, is our Little Ice Cards program. And what that is, and I'm sure you guys being in the St. Louis area there, you probably have a Little Blues program with USA Hockey?
We do. We do.
Okay, so you're very familiar with that. So, our market early on in the days when they started first doing that was with Nashville. And sense. So then we had our Little Preds program here, and that was a really good influx of new players and programs, things like that. Well, over the course of the COVID years, that kind of stopped that.
Right.
And then whenever the hockey really started back up in full force, the outreach of Nashville's footprint kind of shrunk a little bit. They kind of drew it back to their local market.
Mm-hmm.
So that dried up for us, and believe it or not, that was somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 75 kids twice a year that we were losing out on. So we kind of put our heads together as a board and said, well, why can't we do that ourselves? So we did just that, and we kind of put that all together, and we have a program now we're calling the Little Ice Cardinals, and it mimics that pretty much as far as the USA Hockey programs. It gives the kids, for a pretty nominal fee, gear from head to toe. That includes your helmet, stick, gloves, the whole bit, and 7 on-ice sessions to get them introduced to the game of hockey in the ADM type format and get them really excited. And we're going into our week 4 of that session right now.
That is awesome. And I think that's a great model, especially for, the non-traditional markets. I'm looking at your local university there, the Louisville Cardinals. And I know they have a couple of ACHA teams, and as does the University of Kentucky, up the road there in Lexington. Do you have any interaction with them? I see on the Division II team that there's actually a defenseman from Kentucky, from Louisville, Kentucky, on that team. And, I just got to believe that as you are graduating kids from your youth hockey program, are you building a bridge or relationship with the ACHA program there locally?
You guys are batting 1,000 there.
We do our homework and research here.
dig in, roll up your sleeves, and come out swinging, right? So yeah, those are really good questions there. As a matter of fact, the head coach of the U of L team, the top team they have is Brian Graham. Mm-hmm. And Brian, as a matter of fact, was on our board of directors for the Youth Association for a while. So there's a lot of good handshaking going on there, a lot of good guidance from him. As far as what he looks for, as far as kids coming through the program, what he wants to try to get out of them as far as talent recruitment and that kind of stuff. And as a matter of fact, on the curtails of that, our current director of hockey with the youth program, his name's Louis Abinader, and he's an assistant coach with the U of L hockey team. And he's been very instrumental on getting kids across the board better developed and skill-wise and acclimated to the game and excited about the game across the board. So there's a very close relationship, as a matter of fact, between our youth association and the university as well.
Neil, I love all the connections you're making kind of across the board. Love hearing that, tying in the ACHA folks and having them as part of your program, and also taking advantage of USA Hockey's play for free, getting the equipment. What a great way to build your funnel as a youth hockey organization from the bottom up. We have USA Hockey as a content contributor and have had just the honor of working with Bob Mancini and this team. Bob really drives, I'm going to use this ism again. If there's I don't know Bob's middle name, but I think it's fun. And since his middle name is fun, I'm just curious, how does your organization and your coaches, how do you make practice fun for your players?
Interesting segue. There's no set formula we kind of set out there. Say, hey, you got to follow this to make things fun for your kids. We kind of let that happen organically. Again, Louis, who's our director of hockey, he gives a lot of reins to our head coaches to do those types of things within the practices themselves. Of course, we stress the formulation and implementation of the ADM model with stations, and age-appropriate type training. That being said, the small area games, the battle drills, the competition kind of down in the corner, stuff like that, that's depending on the age level. Some kids love it at 14U where they can kind of go in there and start grinding and bumping with each other.
Right.
On the other hand, at 6U, 8U, hey, sharks and minnows goes a long way too,
Right.
Well, Neil, we can't thank you enough for taking some time. Now we usually have a fee that you have to send us some swag. So we will catch you offline and see about getting a couple of Louisville Cardinal jerseys or shirts. Before we go, and here in St. Louis, we have the demand has outpaced our supply of ice. And you had mentioned that, with 300 kids, you're looking at roughly, 2 travel teams per age group, and probably I would imagine 4 or 5 teams, depending on the age group of house teams. How are you managing ice availability? Talk to Drew and I a little bit about, are you putting 2-3 teams on the ice at a time? Do you have 4 or 5 rinks there in Louisville? I'm sorry, I don't know that. I didn't do my research on that, but talk to us a little bit about the ice situation and how you manage that.
Yeah, that's definitely a hurdle to say the least. We have 2 sheets, usable sheets in town. I'll put it that way. Iceland is the name of the facility where we hold our practices and games. And as a matter of fact, that's where the University of Louisville holds their games as well as 3 other high school teams in town. So there's ice time is definitely a premium. I give a lot of credit to our board of directors. One guy in particular, his name's Brian Riblett. He's our director of operations, and he's Mr. Spreadsheet guy.
There always has to be a spreadsheet guy. I love it.
I give him a lot of credit. So he goes in and works hand in hand with the general manager of the rink to try to outline our practice times and try to make those things work year in, year out. But it's tough. We're fortunate enough to the point right now that where each travel team actually is able to utilize their own ice. So we haven't gotten down to the point yet of both 12U teams practicing together at the same time. And we haven't quite gotten to the point of 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning practices yet either.
Right.
We're lucky enough to do that. So we definitely need another sheet in town that's usable and accessible. So we're hopefully that there might be some construction of that coming up soon if we're lucky.
Yep.
Well, Neil, we have some listeners out there that may just be traveling to the Louisville area this year for an out-of-town tournament coming from another city. And when I'm in another city on a youth hockey trip, I always want to know a good place to eat. So any tips for our listeners out there?
Oh, wow. Louisville's full of great places to eat. Geez, kind of caught me off guard there. As a matter of fact, there's a place right across the railroad tracks from the rink if you like Mexican.
It's always across from the railroad tracks, and yes, I love Mexican.
Yep, and it's a great place right across the street. That's a good one. Mama's Barbecue is another really, really good one. And pizza joints, you can have your pick at any of those. There's a lot of good local pizza joints here.
Well, Neil, thanks for giving us so much of your time here today. One of the things that I would ask is, share our show with the folks in your organization. There's going to be a lot of excellent content, not just coming from USA Hockey, but from local, regional, and national coaches who are going to be coming on a monthly basis to share different types of practice plans, games, and drills. And also, as your travel teams are looking to travel, come to St. Louis. I know Big Bear, one of our sponsors, does an excellent job of putting on tournaments. St. Louis is one of their biggest markets. I'd love to interview a coach and a few players, see what their favorite games and drills are. And we'll be able to tell you the best place to get toasted ravioli here in St. Louis if you all come.
Sounds perfect. Yeah. We hit St. Louis quite a few times during the season on tournaments and things like that. So look you up while we're there. And, I would be remiss actually not to take up too much more of your time, but you asked about restaurants there, and there's across the tracks again. There's another restaurant there called Chef's Cut. We're speaking of pizza. Those guys are great over there, and he's a really good sponsor of the youth programs there in the ice hockey land. So give him a lot of credit and give him some support there while you're in town. And Chef's Cut's a good place to be.
100%. Well, thanks so much, Neil. Thanks for joining us. Again, that's the Louisville Ice Cardinals with the Louisville Youth Hockey Association. Looking forward to following the team, seeing how y'all do, and hopefully we get to meet in person here really soon. Thanks for joining us today, Neil.
You guys. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks, Neil. I mean, there's always the train tracks or the creek. It's one or the other, right next to the rink.
Well, if you're going to build a rink, it's by an airport or by train tracks.
Jared, you kind of abandoned the attempt at the proper pronunciation there.
Louisville.
Yes. Yeah, you went Louisville at the end there.
Way to call him out on a Grant. I like it.
Who let Grant have a microphone? Well, I'm not going to mispronounce this. I want to talk to you all about 5B Designs. St. Louis hockey families and business leaders, if you need custom gear that stands out and stands for something, it's time to meet 5B Designs. Founded by Shannon Brahini, a proud St. Louis mom and entrepreneur, 5B Designs is a woman-owned small business that brings purpose to custom apparel. Whether you're suiting up your youth or high school hockey team or leveling up your company's branded swag, 5B delivers top-notch quality with a personal touch. Need a team store? No problem. Corporate polos or event giveaways, they got you covered. 5B makes it easy with fast turnaround, flexible service, and designs your players or employees will love to wear. I'm wearing one of the Too Many Men on the Mic pullovers here, and it is comfortable. Check them out at stores.inksoft.com/5B Designs. That's the word 5, F-I-V-E, and see what purpose-driven apparel looks like.
The Lou Information Station, a whole new O.com.
We're back on Too Many Men on the Mic. Phone number is 855-282-8255. If you want to call and talk youth hockey, you also can find us at LouInfo.com. This upcoming segment of Too Many Men on the Mic is brought to you by Big Bear Tournaments, your go-to for unforgettable youth hockey travel experiences. Big Bear hosts spectacular tournaments in some of the coolest towns across North America. Big Bear has tournaments the September 19th weekend in Chicago for 10U through 18U and mites. And then September 26th weekend has Lexington and Detroit. We were just talking Kentucky, Coach, with 10U to 18U and mites at both locations. With plenty of teams registered across the board, don't delay. Apply today. Plan your next great trip at bigbeartournaments.com. And don't forget to tell them Too Many Men on the Mic sent you.
Well, I think that is a excellent segue. We have our sponsorship partner from Big Bear on the line with us right now to talk a little bit about some upcoming tournaments and go through a quick conversation about some frequently asked questions as we head into the season. So, Grant, why don't we open up that phone line and let's talk to Mitchell. Mitchell, it's Jared and Drew from Too Many Men on the Mic. How you been?
Hey, I've been doing pretty good, guys. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Although Jared keeps throwing in these Detroit references, he just kind of weaves them into the show on even on breaks too.
Mitchell feels me.
I know
Mitchell feels me.
you.
They didn't know, Mitchell. They didn't. I mean, they just don't get it. They just don't understand. It's Detroit against the world. Detroit against everybody.
Yeah, when I tuned in, I thought I heard some negative words about Detroit, but I won't hold that against you.
They were making fun of the way I say things because I actually pronounce words correctly here. They call grass shit gratiot here, by the way.
Oh, come on.
Mitchell, how you been? Talk to us a little bit about Big Bear. Glad that we could have you on the show here today, and lots of teams right now. I just got a message from one of our team managers talking about tournaments, and so this is a great time to get the word out and let's talk tournaments and towns.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, things have been going good on my end. Just coping with the fact that it's August and summer's coming to an end here, but I mean, really, that just means hockey is about to dominate our lives for the foreseeable future once again. And
love it.
We're excited to really get the ball rolling with that. On the lead in, you mentioned our tournaments in Chicago, Detroit, Lexington. Really, that's just a good way for us to kick off the season. Chicago and Detroit being the well-established hockey markets, and Lexington is another one we added it last year, and Kentucky is kind of a non-traditional market for hockey, but we're really kind of blown away by the popularity and how many teams want to play there. And even the local markets, a lot of the teams out of that area are looking pretty good. And, they can hang with just teams from just about anywhere, I would say.
Mitchell, we just had Neil Hoover on before you called in on the front side of the break, and we got to hear his perspective on Kentucky hockey. He's in the Louisville market. Louisville. And is doing great things down there. So I love that you're doing a tournament down in Lexington. As Jared alluded to, so now's the time that people are beginning to think about planning where they want to go. Where do they send their teams if they're thinking about an out-of-town tournament? And I just got to get out there what I think is such a cool feature of your offering. And that is if you're a youth hockey organization and you can get visibility across your age groups and levels and pick a couple different Big Bear tournaments to go to, you can reduce your tournament costs, which really means reducing your team fees for each of those individual clubs. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we've rolled out for this year. We're calling it our club level discount. Really at its whole, it's essentially wholesale pricing. So if you're a hockey director, if you're a coach, if you're a manager, and if you want to get together with other coaches or managers from the same organization, as long as you can get 6 registrations across the board for the upcoming season, and that's one team going to 6 events, 2 teams going to 3 events, so on and so forth. That's just the minimum that we work with. That qualifies you for our discount. And what that does is for each team, for each event across that they register for, each one will save a couple $100, which from a whole as an organization or from multiple teams traveling, a couple $1,000 here and there sure does go a long way during the hockey season.
Financial considerations are huge, especially as they're trying to spread costs on these teams. But the enjoyment level, the experience is the other piece. You know this as well as anybody, that team managers and directors of hockey and coaches are getting inundated with emails from all the different tournament providers out there. Let's talk a little bit about what's unique about Big Bear, especially when it comes to the ages and the quote unquote levels. What are some things that are unique to Big Bear and why people should be choosing Big Bear?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, just as far as like the variety of cities that we offer, I'd put our offering just up against about anybody. As Kentucky is the one that we've talked about so far. We're in Lexington and Louisville. We go as far south as Atlanta. This year, we're going as far south as Utah, as far east as like Syracuse, Buffalo. So really just the variety for wanting to travel, but also the staff that we have. We're not just focused on putting together hockey tournaments and you show up to the rink and that's pretty much all there is to it. We want to help you find things to do outside of just playing hockey, whether it's, going out to dinner or going to an event with the team or doing like a team bonding, or even if the parents want to get away from the hotel for a little bit and find something to do. We got Holly in our office, who's our entertainment coordinator, and she's really good at helping teams just kind of figure out what to do in their downtime away from the rink.
That to me is just priceless for any team manager out there, or somebody who has a connection to a team manager. This is a lifesaver. I can't tell you how many times I've been with team managers between games, before games, night before, the next day, where they're trying to make plans, whether it be a between game dinner, or maybe a late night dinner place after a 5 or 6 o'clock game, and one that can accommodate up to maybe 50 people. So that can be tough and challenging. And I've sat right there with the team managers where they say, no, we can't take you at this time, or no, we can't accommodate this many people. That is a really priceless little feature that you have in your offering.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, just kind of going back with like the team level discounts, the variety that we have. So we just kind of want to kind of veer ourselves towards being like a one-stop shop. You get a good deal on registering for multiple events. We can hook you up with things to do away from the rink while you're also just kind of exploring like a nice new city like Louisville or, Provo, where we're going to be out in Utah, or Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, traditional markets like that. So just the variety and the savings, I think it's pretty tough to beat. I might be a little bit biased, but
yeah. Well, I think it's not biased. It's just the real deal. So
it's just good stuff.
Mitchell, thanks for coming on today. Is it all right if I give out Holly's email information and we talk a little bit about just maybe having her on at some point to have like a team manager's frequently asked questions as we get into the season?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Her email, it's pretty simple. It's just hc@bigbeartournaments.com.
Yep. And to all my friends out there who are just now finding out that they're managing teams, because that's happening, reach out to Jared or Drew, Jared at toomanymenonthemic.com or Drew at toomanymenonthemic.com. And we'll get you in contact with Mitchell and Holly if you need to. But again, Mitchell, can't thank you, Mark, Teresa, the whole team there. You've been such a wonderful partner, and we are now at 10 episodes, and we're just about to. It's about to get really, really fun and interesting as the season starts, and we're looking forward to having you, Mark, or Holly on more this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, season's coming to an end. Summer's coming to an end. The season's about to start, and we're excited. And it's great coming on and talking with you guys more about it.
Thanks, Mitchell. Appreciate it.
Go Tigers! Let's hope they start winning again. And talk to you later.
We can only hope.
All right, Mitchell. Have a great weekend.
All right, so it's not just us with Cardinal baseball. So the Tigers aren't.
The Tigers are actually really good.
Oh, they're just not doing well.
They're just having a little slump. But I can't. The year I moved here, in October of 2006. We all know what happened. Some guy named David Freese and Eckstein.
One
and
of the best games ever.
David Freese.
Yeah.
He wasn't on the 2006 team.
Oh, well, no. Eckstein.
He was on the 11 team.
Eckstein. Well, we lost you in 2011.
Yeah.
Oh.
12, you lost the Giants.
That's right.
We beat the Rangers in 11.
That's right.
Yeah,
You
06 was 06 was
There you
Detroit.
go.
Anyways,
That's why we're hockey guys.
That's right. Anyways, we got a little bit of time left here.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's what are you looking forward to? We kind of started off the show this way around me being antsy, right? Playing Sega hockey.
By the way, we have to play Sega hockey now.
Oh, we should.
We absolutely do.
We should. The question is what year? Because then you got
94.
Right. You dig deep in the rest. I will say that I found the Hartford Whalers this weekend. Played the Hartford Whalers, that 94 team. Andrew Castles got me a hat trick. Sanderson was on that team. Pat Verbeek.
The little ball of hate.
The little ball hate has ties back to Detroit as well.
He was the assistant general manager there, and now is the general manager for Anaheim. So, you know, it's funny because
he didn't have a Y in his name.
That's right. He did. But you know, whenever I've had teams score goals, we've played this song.
Oh, here he goes. He's break.
You gotta wait for it.
There it is. It's like a polka song.
That is the Brass Bonanza. That one's for Eddie O'Neill, who was a former player of mine, who was always like, "Coach, we got to hear the song."
Gosh, the Brass Bonanza.
Brass
It sounds
Bonanza.
like a bonanza.
That was pretty good.
That's awesome.
I like that.
Brass Bonanza.
Yeah.
Every time Hartford scored, they would play that. They didn't play it very often. I think they play it more times when the Carolina Hurricanes have the Hartford Whalers throwback. So, well, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming season. I mean, we're getting a little slappy here, which is okay. I think it's kind of like we're getting cabin fever.
We are.
When it comes to, you know, we're getting ready to launch here, but you know, there's some big changes coming to youth hockey. And when I say changes, it's like we're going to go back in time to, you know, 2005.
Way back 20 years.
Almost 20 years. But actually, maybe 2015, 10 years. But now we're going back to delayed offsides and icing the puck on penalty kills for Bantam and midget players. And I know Chris Durso, shout out Chris Durso, president of Mo Hockey, is going to be coming on to the show in a few weeks. That's a tease. It's a tease in the industry.
That is a tease.
But I mean, I think every high school coach has kind of like got this smile on their face because now their players are not playing by two different rules.
Right. They're not playing two different sets of rules. That is a uniqueness I find between club programs, middle school, high school. Which set of rules am I playing? So, yes, I love when sanity prevails. Yeah. Delayed offsides. Love it.
We've got some texts from some coaches here. And these get a little slappy because I think all the coaches out there that I know are also starting to crawl up the walls.
Yeah, keep it PG rated.
Absolutely. So we've got the Palace on Ballas for all of you out there. That's for DeSmet, the 3-time Challenge Cup champion. But every other coach not coaching at DeSmet is hoping for a resurgence with their own program.
Of course.
And maybe taking DeSmet down, but that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think everybody is super, super excited about seeing their kids go from, and this is one thing I always love seeing, the minor to major transition, and being able to, there's always 2 or 3 kids that just, whether it's they physically grow or they just mentally grow, they become, players that you just are like, wow, where'd he or she come from?
I'm glad you said both of those things because both of those things do happen. Suddenly you see a kid hit puberty, he comes back and you're going, wow, like he's a step quicker, bigger, faster, stronger, all of those things. And then the mental part I like even better. I won't say who, but I have been with players recently where I just notice a little bit more maturity, right? A little bit more maturity to their game, notice it at practice, how they're dealing with coaches, how they're dealing with other players. And so, we grow physically and mentally. Like to see both of those.
I noticed it last week. We were at, I was running the Ledoux skate And one of our graduated seniors, you may be familiar with his work, was just burning up the boards, up the left side. Maybe was going from the defensive end to the offensive end.
Possibly.
And then out of nowhere, a sophomore ran him down.
Love it.
And
Love it.
It was awesome because the graduated senior comes back and was like, Who was that? Who was that? Who was that?
Who's that guy?
And to see something like that is not just the physical aspect of it, but I mean, he even used the right angle of pursuit to cut him off and kill, and cut the ice down. So those types of things get me really, really excited. And then obviously, beating Clayton.
But how fun if you're planning for the season, which I know you are you going to be about putting that kid in a game and watching him take off this year?
He's definitely going to get a lot more ice time on the varsity team.
Right.
And I think, if he swings, which he might, he's definitely going to be, one of the folks that we lean on, not just this year, but in years to come. I'm really excited for that. And that's the type of stuff, and it's always good. You want to see the kids come back. That's the other big thing. Oh
yeah. I mean, if has that kind of season, like it sounds like he might, boy, that's going to make him come back to the rink. Right.
For me, it's the traveling is fun. So I know that both of my boys, they're already lining up their travel schedule for their club teams. Being able to, we'll be in Buffalo in the first part of September. So I'm super excited. I may try to, steal across the border and get into Toronto.
You have to, there are several very good chicken wing places. So, you got to carve out time just for that.
Kind of in the name,
right?
Buffalo.
Right.
Buffalo. But yeah, in my other younger son, we're starting to plan out the tournament schedule. And as I mentioned to Mitchell, I'm pretty confident we've got 4 really great cities on the Big Bear portfolio picked out. And that's just fun. And this is a year where we get to meet some new parents. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't love all the parents that I've been around, because I absolutely do. And some of them will be again, but this is a great year where it's like both of my boys are really energized about playing, on these teams. And that to me is the coolest thing. It's not even about the hockey. It's the community and the culture.
Absolutely. I'm walking into what does ACHA hockey look like with my older son when he starts playing. And I haven't seen a actual schedule yet for when first game is. I know there's a game Parents Weekend, so I know I'll get to see him play Parents Weekend, which will be fun. And, and then he's playing ACH hockey with kids anywhere from 18 up to, gosh, I think the oldest kid on his team might be 25.
Well, if it's anything like way back in the day, some folks would show up and they'd have 2 kids and a mortgage while they're freshmen playing ACHA hockey. It's interesting. As we really start to look at this, next week I'm going to be broadcasting live from the Level 5 Symposium. Mm-hmm. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say I was so excited about that. Not just the fact of, being able to broadcast and talk to, you're going to
get in some Bob time.
Going to get some Bob time. We're going to get in some time with really a lot of the player development folks. We've got some dynamite conversations that are lined up. But I think it goes back to, and I was talking with Chris Durso because he's got there's some cool stuff that's going to be happening with Missouri hockey and the Blues and USA hockey here. And I don't
teasing it again.
I don't want to bury the lead for 2 weeks from now. But one of the things is it's pretty exciting to have, to go through this Level 5 Symposium, because it really is, you get a chance to listen and learn from all these master coaches. And I'm going to have I have that thief sack over my shoulder, because I'm definitely going to be bringing back a lot of ideas.
I thought your hand gesture there was the lightsaber. I thought you were going to come back and you're like, I'm a Jedi now. I've been through Level 5. I'm a Jedi now.
Well, I don't, it'll be fun. Coach Jedi. Can I get that in the back? I can get that on my hockey bag, my coach's bag.
You just achieved Jedi status.
Well, we're winding down here today, and as I said, segue our highlights, for next week. I will be in Columbus, Ohio, beautiful Columbus, Ohio, and we'll be attending the USA Hockey Level 5 Coaching Symposium. Again, an awesome opportunity to talk to USA Hockey directors and player development folks and bring that, a little bit of a taste of Level 5 back, hopefully to our listening audience. You will be broadcasting alongside me in
2 different cities. So I've got a younger one that's going to Nashville, and then that trip overlaps with my older one, who I'm getting in a car with him in a trailer and driving out to move him into Colorado State. So, 2 different cities, and we'll do it remote because Grant has the technology. That's just how he rolls.
Well, the good
I'll
news,
find a way for us. Don't worry.
yeah, and he'll be correcting me on my pronunciation.
You got to report back on best food in Columbus.
Well, we're going to Columbus where they call soda pop. A true Midwest town where they call. Oh, I might even bring some Vernors back.
Some
Or
what?
Vernors or Fago.
I don't know what that is.
Well, that means I got to bring it back.
There you go.
Do it.
There you go.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for joining us today on Too Many Men on the Mic. If you miss us, which if you're listening to us now, if you missed any part of the show, you can find us on demand at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. We also rebroadcast on luinfo.com and 590 KLIS Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. And if you're listening to us here, stick around and listen to the In Your City show with Kelly and Gordon that goes from 4 to 6. Coach, we got about another minute left. Anything you want to share before we head out?
Now, bring it on, and let's get the Sega, and let's cue up the game.
Absolutely.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Remember, folks, hockey is more fun the better you get at it, and it's even more fun when you pound Drew at NHL 94. We may have to live stream that for like 4 people.
See you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone.